Welcome back to the Nest Peeps. How have you been? The local gaming club and myself have been looking into ways to get new players into the hobby. Specifically in the shop, we've been trying to really focus drawing attention on the Warmachine tables. And one of the ways that we came up with was to get the 2-player starter sets, paint them up, and have them ready in shop for if anyone wanted to get a test game in. And the shop that the local club and I play at is Looking for Games in Bristol, Pennsylvania. I'm going to put a link in the description below if you'd like to check them out. This video isn't sponsored by them in any way. I just wanted to show a little bit of tribute to the great gaming hall in my local area. The place that allows me to enjoy this hobby with others. One of the starter products that was available was the Warmachine Mark II starter box. In that starter box you have Menoth and you have Kador. I chose to paint the Menoth half. Now I painted my Signar Army white, but I painted them more of a cold white, a gray to white white. With Menoth I want to go for a more warm white, kind of like a tan into an eggshell into an off-white, and see how I can pull that off. The plan is to kind of stay similar to the box art. This way when new players look at the army, they'll know what it is they're looking at if they decide to look at anything online after the fact. Whereas I am painting this to the box art color scheme, I'm putting my own little twist on it. I didn't like the whole white cloth with the box art theme, so I'm changing that up a little bit. You'll see there's slight tweaks to it, but for the most part the color scheme is Menoth. And now I'm going to show you how I painted the Cinerator unit that comes in that box. First things first, we prime everything in black and then give it a zenithal highlight from above with some white paint. After that, I base coat all of the armor panels on these models with some Iraqi sand from Vallejo. This is the foundation for that warm white tone we're going for. Then I bust out the Sotar 2020 and I start applying the off-white to all the armor panels, making sure not to cover all of the panel and still let some of that Iraqi sand sit in the shadows. And that's going to be it for the airbrush work. The rest of this is all going to be done with a brush. As you can see here, I'm starting to cut in all of the red trim on the armor, and I'm base coating all of this with dark red from Vallejo model color. As you can see here, some of these lines are so thin, I'm practically pinstriping this thing. Base coating all these red details ate up the majority of the time that I spent painting these models. After I finished up with the red, it was time to start cutting in all of the gold trim. And it was while I was cutting in the gold that I realized I should have done the gold prior to the red, but I guess hindsight's 20/20, right? And this is Glorious Gold from Vallejo Game Color. Up next is all the steel bits, and we're going to do that with Vallejo Game Color Gunmetal. After we've finished painting the armpit areas here, we move on to some of the smaller details. There's a lot of rivets and screws and other tiny metallic pieces that we have to cut in now. As you can see here, a lot of these rivets are right next to the areas where we spent all that time airbrushing, so we have to take extra care not to slip up and mess up that white, because it's going to suck to try and fix. Then we take a heavy brown from Vallejo Game Color and we cut in all the leather bits, such as shirt sleeves and the hilt to the sword. To add another layer of contrast on this model, I decided to paint all of the cloth bits black. After the base coat of black on all the cloth, I came in and started base coating all of the symbols on these knights in black as well. I believe they have symbols on the shoulders, on the shield, and the leader here even has one of those symbols on his helmet. Again, taking it slow and steady as not to slip up and get any of this black paint on our white airbrushed surfaces. After that, I took some time off camera to clean up all of the red trim prior to coming in with this pure red highlight from Army Painter. I've used this dark red with a pure red highlight on a few models now, and I've got to say I'm a big fan of the result. When it came time to highlight the cloth, I decided to go with Field Gray from scale 75. Now, Field Gray is a gray green, and I feel it really helps the cloth areas pop out from the rest of this model. And using this muted green helps me avoid that Christmas look that the combination of red and green often suffer from. Then I come in with a dark tone wash from Army Painter, and I apply that to all of the metallic bits. However, what I forgot to record is that I also use this dark tone to blackline all of my white areas so that you can get some separation in the armor panels. Here I have painted all of these little gems cold gray, and I'm giving them a pure white highlight so that when I come in with this fluorescent yellow from Model Color, it really helps it stand out with just one or two coats. With the gems completed, it's time to move on to the base. First thing is to put some PVA glue down and spread it around with an old brush. Then we sprinkle down some trusty old sand on top, making sure to cover the entirety of the base. Then I pretend to be an archaeologist while I brush away the excess sand from the rim of the base. Once the sand has completely dried, we come in with a strong tone wash and we apply that to the entire base. This is going to help that sand look like dirt. And then we lay down some PVA glue in patches so that when we apply our static grass, we still have some of the dirt showing from below. And then we go back into archaeologist mode and we wipe away the excess grass. After the grass, I put on some tufts of yellow flowers. I apparently forgot to record that step. With my limited time for painting, this unit took me like 3 weeks to get fully painted due to the amount of caution I had to take while painting in all that trim. But seeing all 5 of them here together like this makes it worth it. Well, what did you think? Did you like the color scheme I went with? Was it too Menoth? Could I have added a little bit of my own twist on there? Or did you like what I did with it? When it comes to painting around the white for those details and stuff, brush control is key. I gotta say, these guys took forever to paint, primarily because I wasn't trying to mess up that white. All in all, I'm extremely happy with how this incinerator unit turned out. But let me know what you think about it in the comments section down below. And if you've painted this half of the starter box, what color scheme did you go with? In future videos, I will be painting the rest of the models that come in a Menoth half of this starter box. But for now, I just wanted to kind of share with you the color scheme that I went with. I'll turn this into a little bit of a video series, if you will. Hopefully that'll give me some pressure to get it done sooner rather than later. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that other social media stuff. As for now, I've got to fly. As always, keep on painting, peeps.